Depends on where you are, but we're gonna get into some of these things just a second. Gotta get this thing going. You know, we'll see what we're working with. Bring this thing to live. See what's up. Got stuff to talk about. Got stuff to put down. Gotta hit this information up because you know how it is on the YouTube streets. Gotta do this thing. Get this thing up out of here. Let me get them back. Get this thing going. Okay, let me get this thing going real quick. Okay, we're back now. Okay, we're back now. I had to send out all my streams out, so everything is back live now. We back. We are back. So, what's up with you? How you doing? Welcome, welcome, welcome. That's cause they don't do it. You know, I have to like do it by hand. I'm doing all right. Good to see you. You know, it's like I tell Connie, the one that comes on here sometimes, she come on here, she follows me on Facebook. Am I still on mute? Am I still on mute? Am I on mute? Give me a one if you can hear me. If you can't, can you not hear me? I shouldn't be on no mute. Can you hear me? Am I on mute? Give me a one if you can hear me. Give me a one if you can hear me. I shouldn't be on no mute. Can you hear me? He didn't just have a bad game. He what you mean no sound? What you mean no sound? Okay. No, he didn't have no bad game. He had a horrific game. The thing is that when DeAndre Ayton went off, he had 19 points. He doesn't do that usually in a week. They got exposed. If Houston plays fundamental ball, don't be cute. Keep the ball in front of them. Make them play a full court game. They can make this a series. The Lakers are not. Yeah, I know. And what happened? What happened? They still got waxed by 18 points. They can't squander that. He ain't gonna. He doesn't do that for like once a month. Yeah. Well, Houston is soft and the cakes in the glass, but the perimeter. But if they force the issue, don't let Marcus Smart look like that and Luke Kennard look like that. Can't do like that. That series has no business going less than 6. I know. I couldn't believe it either because he doesn't do that in the whole. He doesn't do that for a whole week. I'm not saying he's Bronny James, but let's keep it real. Aiton is more like 12. You might get 5, 3. So he had 19. I was like, wow. He does that more often. He wouldn't be crying about not getting touches. But should have known that's why they got their butt waxed though. If Houston can play a poised game, they can make this a 6-game series. There's no reason why this can be a 6, 7 game series. Because it's pretty much an even Steven style with what they got. Houston just doesn't have. If they play team ball, don't do. They blew that game the other day. Case in point, should be a 6, 7 game series. Because if they win that game, it's 2-2 right now. Think about it. And they had a 6-point lead with 30 seconds to go. So it's not like the Lakers are not that much better than them. It's just come down to a couple common sense moves here and there. It's not like it's that much better. I'm not so the Lakers are a little bit better than them, but it's not like neither one of these teams are better than the second round. So let's not get it twisted. They're not better than being more than a second round. They're gonna get dealt with. Don't worry. They'll get dealt with. You could put these two teams together, and they still ain't coming out the second round because you can take the best of what Houston's got and what the best of Lakers got. That's not a conference championship. Not really. Have you forgot the last 2 years? Did you not see the last 2 years? The last 2 years, they didn't sit their butt packing. What's different about this year? Except for Ayo going off for 43 points, but what's different? Denver don't play no defense. Denver hasn't done anything since they got rid of Michael Malone. Their defense sucks. Aaron Gordon is hit and miss. They don't have 4 horses. They have 2.5 horses. And the bench isn't that good. They are a run of the mill team. Minnesota matches up with them. It's a problem. And the thing about it is Minnesota, you would think that Michael Conley, who's about what 72, and he can't. You talk about the Aiton not scoring 19 points. If Michael Conley ever bust out, they'll blow somebody out. But he don't have but like one of them games every 5 games. But they got their number. Josh McDaniel, Randall. They can't stop Minnesota's perimeter. They can't stop the bigs. It's kind of like Orlando. And Denver doesn't have an answer. So it's not a surprise to me. It's not that Gobert's necessarily locking him up. It's just that psh, Shaq would run this league. Shaq would run this league. Are you kidding me? Because for one thing that people conveniently forget about Shaquille O'Neal, the team dominated. They won games. Jokic, barely 4th seed. They don't win like that. Shaq had a team that won 67 games. They won games. Okay. Jokic doesn't dominate like that. If Jokic dominated like that, that might be one thing. He don't dominate like that. He don't dominate like that. And he should. In this cupcake league, where now you can shoot threes and move like that. I just because Denver doesn't play no team ball. I like what he does on the perimeter. And I'll say this. He's actually more LeBron than LeBron as far as giving dimes and all that. It's not about his athleticism. The rim protection I'll give you. But he the problem that he runs into is that he doesn't enforce nothing to step in your game up. You know when Larry Bird gave Kevin McHale the nod and they clothesline Kurt Rambis? Jokic likes to get tough on guys after they clown him, but he's not meant to be like that. It's kind of like an Amari Stoudemire situation. It's not meant to be. It's not like that. Paul Gasol could, Mark Gasol could. But the other problem that they run into is Aaron Gordon. Them big old boys do not scare nobody. That's what Josh McDaniel was clowning them. He said, y'all don't scare nobody. Ain't nobody scared of them. Ain't nobody scared. And the problem is that when he leads them to the perimeter, They're not scaring nobody. They're getting cooked. So he got plenty. Don't worry, they'll be home soon. They won't, because what'll happen is they go back to Minnesota and they can't beat them. They don't match up well against Minnesota. They don't. The problem is that they got to play at such a high IQ level to hit, shoot threes, and make points. They don't play well against them. It's a bad matchup. What about Ayu, who had 43 points in 42 minutes? Shoot, and Ant was gone in the second quarter. So it's not like, it's not like, no, it's a bad matchup. They don't match up well against them down the roster. Minnesota can always bring a fresh hand and get them. If you're Denver, you don't even want to win like that because you've been exposed. You look brutal. You will not get out the second round. You will get cooked. And I'm gonna tell you something. Minnesota's got the recipe for beating them because they got the size, the athleticism. It's not a good look. It's not a good look. I don't think neither one of those teams is like that, but it's just not a good look. They don't deserve to come out the first round. And they won't either. They won't. If Ingram steps his game up, they can do something. But the problem is these two teams are too much of the same. They both mid, high second tier teams who, no, I'm not sold on neither one of them. The Raptors, Scotty Barnes, they had to play like that on the road, you know, and no one takes them serious. I like Ingram, but he was supposed to be the second coming of Durant, and he just inconsistent, you know. In Cleveland, Mobley's got to score more than 8 points. They have to play, where they can travel. Well, Donovan Mitchell has to play way better. I'm not sold on either one of those teams. So I forgot to put the poll up. But here we go. The poll is up too, by the way. For anybody coming through want to take that poll, feel free. Mm, can't really say because again, they never ever draft what they supposed to. They always come up short on the line, so can't really say. Obviously they're gonna look for a late second receiver, you know, but can't really say. I don't really pay a lot of mind because the problem with the draft is just like it's kind of like all you can eat buffet, but how much of it was really good? Was it because it was the buffet and you had a set price, or was it good? And see, what the problem is with the draft. They got a lot. Their biggest problem is on the line. They got to get a pass rusher, a run stopper, and on the offensive side of the ball, they got to continue to block and also get a playmaker receiver. So they got about 3 or 4 glaring weaknesses. But the defense has to get better. I mean, they cannot function like that. I know. So can't say. Well, I watch college, but again, like that kid Fernando who was with Indiana when he won the chip, going to the Raiders. Well, we know the Raiders are at least a 3 or 4 year work in progress. So I know that's not gonna bound out right away. Everyone was tripping because the Rams drafted that quarterback though, Ty Simpson. No, that was the one that got everybody's attention because they know Matthew Stafford well, you know. But I can't really, there's some cats I've observed. No, that cornerback for New England in the Super Bowl, he's from Ohio State. He had good hands. But it's hard to say because again, it depends on the system and the team. Yeah. Yeah. because everybody else is. No one is going to say Sam Darnold. No one's going to say 49. Ain't anybody going to say him. Mahomes is like Tiger Woods, Burrow Jackson, and Burrow Jackson and Josh are like Phil Nicholson, Sir DJ Singh, and Sergio Garcia eventually, and then you got Matthew Stafford, who, yeah, but again, yeah, that's it. That's it. No one gives Jalen Hurts no love, so he's been in two Super Bowls. Um, Caleb Williams is on the watch. If the Bears make a stride, there is room for somebody to come along. Pete Patterson's gonna start. I'm gonna bench Stephon Gilmore and Jalen Ramsey gets cut. That's not hard. That's not hard. Patterson only because he played for inept teams, but he was bad. And Gilmore is like right there. That's when he was with New England. Jalen Ramsey, his mouth was better than his game. He had a moment. Oh, Caleb is the dude. If the Caleb's got a chance to be like the Winyamba of quarterbacks because he fun to watch. The Bears were coming up, and I'm gonna tell you something. That could be a changing of the guard of Detroit if they don't get it together. And Jerry Goff, and if they blow what they got with that talent, it's the Bears boogie. Yeah, but Patterson just kind of moved me a little more. I like Gilmore a lot. Like I said, it's close. It's close. But you asked me who the reason why I went Patrick Patterson's because I knew where he was at. But it's close though. It's close. I could go either way, but Ramsey would get cut. He ain't in a discussion with those cats. He had a chance. I think he played his best ball with Jacksonville, if you want my honest opinion. Like when he used to run his mouth. But so I can't really tell because it's got to do with the coaching. Um, Micah got hurt, so we really don't know. People think that you get this, so many things have to happen. I can't say. He looks good. Some of it was his fault, but then some of it just the coach. I just think that LaFleur's coaching sometimes leaves a lot to be desired. And I don't think they put him in the best possible positions to thrive. So I can't say. I think he looks good in spots. I'll say it like this: that year that they lost to Frisco and that they should have beaten them, and there was a couple of miscues, which wasn't Jordan Love's fault. So I think he was close, but I think that you know sometimes the coaching leaves a lot to be desired. So I think he still got room. I still think I give him a 2 or 3 more years. I'd give him 2 or 3 more years before we know. Can't say right now because I still think Matt LaFleur is kind of suspect as coach, and I think that you know the jury's still out. The jury's still out. Right. All right. Just waiting to see what everybody's doing. Yeah, why you want to fight the guy? You gave up 114 points. So somehow those last 2 points that magically woke your behind up. Yeah, no, you know, the thing is that people have to fawn all over him. Look, he's a talented dude for his scoring ability and what he does offensively. However, all this, like, he belongs on the same stage with Shaq and Russell and Kareem and Wilt and Hakeem and Moses is ridiculous at this stage. He hasn't done nothing. Shoot, I couldn't imagine him doing that to Dikembe or Ben Wallace for that matter. No, look. If you can't dominate this era, you sure as heck wouldn't have a chance in that era. And he making Rudy Gobert look good. But they would love it though. Like I said before, he's in a very awkward situation because if his butt keeps on losing and he don't team up with somebody, his legacy takes a hit. Cause it's like you stat padding and you got a ring, I'll give you that. But then you'll be like Giannis. People are gonna kind of like wonder, like, well, you was that just a fluke? I mean, and not as dominant as he should be. Mm-mm. Don't put them in the same sentence though. And Gobert can play some. Well, I'm gonna tell you how you do with Gobert. If you want to be effective against Gobert, you have to push him. You have to push him and make him move lateral, left, right. But you stand there like a walking duck. Yeah, he's not hard for you. No, it's not the same because Shaq was another level, and Dikembe was respected. Dikembe was respected. I don't look at Gobert the way I look at Matumbo. Matumbo could actually. I had no problem with his defense. It's just Shaq was Shaq. But Rudy Gobert, all that they traded to get him, he should be a lot more demanding and commanding for his place, and he ain't. So no, it's not the same. It's not the same because Shaq was a Shaq. They won. Derek Fisher wouldn't necessarily start on that Nuggets team that's out now, but he's more effective than what they got. You know, Rick Fox too. Jokic doesn't push others like Shaq did. You know, so you gotta make them pay. Gotta make them pay. But I don't think they're gonna get out the first round. I think Minnesota will do enough to beat them, even without Ant. Because ever since they said what they said about what McDaniel said about uh Jokic, they didn't beat that butt. They beat him up in Minnesota. Beat him by average of 15 points. So 2 straight games held him 96 points. So you tell me if they ain't got in their head. So yeah. What does a cherry? Yeah, sure, why not? Because it's back to back. He's in rare company. He'll be MVP. His team got a year better, and he shows leadership. And he has a command. He really is that good. I mean, you know, yeah. Well, she's talking about the industry being a good old boys club, though. But I know what you mean, though. SGA is to me the best player going today. I know Jokic puts up better numbers, and I know Victor Wanyamba is coming, but this dude has done it. He's been consistent, you know. And I think if anybody, it's gonna be you got to go through him. Probably was. Alicia's always taking pride in herself. That's not my problem with her. My problem is that voice and that other stuff, not that. Mhm. Okay. He's not over Steph, so you can kiss that goodbye. No, I'd say top five. I wouldn't say top. I'd say top five. He won't surpass any of those guys. He'd have to put more body work in, but he's in the conversation. He's in the conversation. He's in the conversation. He's in the conversation. He wins this year, he's in the conversation. And you can't have the conversation without him. And anything else after that would be gravy. That's how big it is. Because his career keeps getting bigger and better. And personally, I think he's got 3 or 4 more years of peak prime left in him after this year. Mhm. Okay, let's see what we're working with. So we got as far as time goes. No, he can't be. But can't Cat can't be either. Brunson is a sidekick, and Cat's a third option. They got to figure out who to get that can be a top option. That's what's hurting them. That's why they struggling with Atlanta. They shouldn't be. Brunson and Cat aren't like they're not like Jalen Brown and Jason Tatum. They don't have that kind of because they too finesse and they kind of like same way. So they don't offer anything to offset. Brunson, if he's not whirly dirly and get to the free throw line, he's kind of one dimensional. So they need another component that would pull him over. Now, if they had obviously they could get Giannis and get rid of everybody except for Cat and him, then I'd say you'd be straight because you need somebody that can command demand and kick it out to you. And then y'all can be scary. Yeah, he does. And he put your butt to sleep. And he dribbles and dribbles and dribbles. That's why him and Luca couldn't work on the same team because it's the James Harden syndrome. Dribble, dribble, dribble. Got hands and can move, but if he's off, you get nothing else from him. So that's the downside. But again, unless you Stephen A. Smith or Spike Lee or something like that, or Mike Brent or something, you ain't delusion. You ain't delusional about the Knicks. Oh yeah, I watched them play together, and that's one of the reasons why it couldn't work. Imagine if you had two James Hardens on the same team. Ball hogging, checking the clock, and just not utilizing. And that's where Brunson runs into a brick wall because they make everything all tired and haggard as opposed to bringing the nuances that would be easier to what you got. Yeah, so that's how I look at it. I haven't said that though Dallas was crazy letting him go, but it didn't work because of Luca's style. It works if you have a yin and a yang. If Luca ain't a ball hog and he can shoot those crazy shots because inside out, yeah, he can. Because Kyrie actually dribbles, penetrates, and drives and forces your hand. When you take it hyper, taking shots behind the arch, or you shooting the top of the key all the time, and you dribbling, you're not making it. You're giving the defense a cheat code to sag on you. So zone is easier, and you're gonna be looking at 50%, so you can take those chances. It's a big difference. He is by for collection. I got you. Yeah, I watch Kyrie, but the only problem with Kyrie is he can't take over no team either. He's tried his luck and it didn't work, you know. But again, these guys play a different brand of point guard, and it's hard to put it in perspective. See, you need a guy like Andre Miller today to play point guard. You really do. You need someone that can or Ray John Rondo. That's what's missing. Everybody want to dribble and break your ankles and run you off the court, but then they don't play fundamental ball. So, so well, it was his style that was good. Cause you have to appreciate old man point guard. And NBA moved away from that. He did. As I saw Melo talking about him recently, saying if we had still kept him, we'd have been all right. Mm-hmm. You know. See, if you have a point guard that can go 10-10 like Jason Kidd, but keep tempo, but when you start having making your point guards, they got to score 20, 25 points a game, and only give out 5, 6 dimes, and then you're control. Mm-hmm. That's what they were missing. That's what they were missing. Everybody says that, but did they need a point guard last night? No. Mm-mm. They needed people to play smart, common sense basketball against the Lakers. No point guard. No point guard to beat no Lakers. They need to play fundamental basketball. Don't turn the ball over and utilize your teammates. Treat it like hot potato where everybody get a chance. They lost the series because they weren't looking for someone to get a hot hand as opposed to playing team ball. That's why they lost the series. And they're going to have a long time to think about it. Because even if you got Fred Van Fleet, you still got to know how to move your rotate. And that's where your Doka coaching's got to come in with say, y'all got to rotate and move around. Y'all waiting on somebody to shoot y'all back into a game. Just don't play smart basketball. They play smart basketball and they wax the Lakers behind poetically. And that's what they can do. Gotta play smart. But if they beat LA Wednesday, it could change the series. That's pretty much how he is. Because he has never showcased. See, there was a time you could say that as far as offensive, you could hang with LeBron or hang with Steph. But what else does he do well? You know, he's up there talking about he can't get out of a double team the other night. That's embarrassing at this stage. He relies on creating, getting, but he's not the kind of guy that's beating you with an all around game. And that's why he went to Golden State. He had the ultimate situation. I'm gonna say this. It sound crazy. He was a better fit in Golden State than LeBron was in Miami. And I can say that as a Heat fan. Why he left Steph Curry, I'll never know. He played his best basketball there. He played out of his mind. He was in cool. He was like an air conditioner. You ever been into a place where you were hot and when you stepped in, the air conditioner was on, and and your clothes felt good and you felt good and you were just like in your element. He was in his element. He tried to recreate that in Brooklyn and Phoenix and Houston. Why? So yeah, I think his mental capacity is some of the dumbest I ever thought of. Well, see, Devin Booker, who was a double, triple, broke Junior Whopper Kobe, more like a broke Vince Carter, when he wasn't scoring, when they put their hands on him, that's a compliment. Learn how to be an assist man. They don't do nothing but play zone defense today. What you crying about? You scored 70 points in a game a few years ago. You think people got amnesia and forgot? You think they forgot? Let me get back on. You think they forgot? You scored 70 points in a game a few years ago. England in Boston. You could score. They labeled you a Junior Whopper Kobe. And you crying about getting that's a compliment. If they send two busters on you, learn how to pass the ball. Did you hear Shaq crying about when people would throw 5 people on him? Learn how to pass the ball. Get your assist up. Beat them. Beat them in different ways. Devin Booker was never the same after game 2 in the finals against Milwaukee. And when they got physical with his behind, ain't much left. So I'm not trying to hear nothing he got to say. They are playing nothing but zone defenses today. They're taking you high and low out. Learn how to play other ways. Learn how to play without the rock. He just wants someone to scapegoat and he wants someone to cover his shortcomings. That's what it is. Crying about him. They come at you with 2 and 3. That's a compliment to you. Because I'm gonna tell you something. If you in your peak in your prime and they paying you $100+ million and they coming at you with single coverage, you suck. You stealing money. You should be taken as a compliment. You should make them pay. If you playing the game you were supposed to. If you ain't, then you'll be crying like, oh, there you know, why they're not giving me, why am I getting this attention? Sound like a big old baby. I ain't trying to hear all that mess. The NBA today ain't nothing but zone. It's just like if you're a football player. They they send they sending zones on receivers. They're keeping you out your spot, so you make them pay. You do things, you make them pay. That's what others come in handy. That's what Shaq tried to tell you about others. When you understand others, stop being a ball hog. That's how you win. That's what makes OKC so compelling because SGA is getting 20 without trying most nights. But he gets Lou Williams involved. I've told you before, don't let Chad Hogan ever erupt because if he ever erupts, they're gonna win about 4 or 5 chips. That's the next thing. Because SGA knows how to do his thing. It's like if I can get Holmgren and I can get uh Heinz the other cat, I can get them going. We win. We win. So cats crying about the wrong thing. They act like we're in an era where we're in an era like back in the day. We haven't been like that in 20 years in the NBA. They've been playing zone the last 15, 20 years. Yeah, if Chat gets going, they're going to win multiple rings because Chat is the X factor. He'll make life a lot easier if he ever gets. Mhm. And don't let Heinstein got going. If those two can own the glass, then SGA gonna walk around with 4 or 5 rings. Cause they got a gimme ring last year. Now it's time for y'all to step up and get the next 2 to 3. Got a chance too. Got a chance. But I'm not trying to hit no Devin Booker. Cats don't want to play. Don't want to get dirty. And we're in a day and time when when they switching, they're not even masking what they're doing. Shoot, they're not even masking what they're doing. Zone is real. That's why you can't even call illegal defenses anymore. You can't even call. You can't even call. Because everybody's doing the same thing. It's futile. So I'm not trying to hear that mess. Phoenix had a good year though. I'll give them that. They went a lot further than they should have. I'll give them that. But he crying and Dylan Brooks was a revelation. He's scoring a 3 ball and playing. But they've been out of sorts ever since they lost the finals to Milwaukee. They've been out of sorts. And Devin Booker was a guy that they had highly touted as being the second coming of something, which he proved not to be the second coming of anything. Like I said before, double broke Kobe and a single broke Junior Whopper version of Vince Carter, who got farther than Vince Carter, but let's be real, we don't look at him the same. Yeah, I was talking about the '86 Sixers. Yeah, yeah, and they were getting, and that's when the team had gotten old too. It's like a year before Doc left. Um, because Andrew Tony, and again, Barkley and Tony was supposed to be the next coming, and you know, I did a video because I was talking about the Sixers. I had a person who was an Andrew Tony fan. He gave me much love. Yeah, it gets lost in that era because that Celtic team was great, and of course, a lot of people forget about you know first round was best 3 out of 5. What's happening? How you living? Good to see you in here. Thanks for coming through. Feel free to hit that like button. If you want to take the poll, feel free to do that too. And if you got questions and comments, let's get down. Yeah. If Tobias Harris is your second option, you are gonna go home really soon. I like Cade a lot, but I hate to quote Rick Pitino, but Joe Dumars, Isaiah Thomas, Vinny Johnson, Adrian Dantley, Mark Aguirre, they're not coming through that door. They don't have any firepower. And they're going up against a big bully who can smash them back in the mouth and can knock down shots. Not a recipe that you want. Ooh. This is good. I'm going to start that 83 Sixers team because that's one of the greatest I've ever seen. So I'm going to start them. Uh, I got to bench the 86 Sixers Celtics, and then I got to cut the Lakers. And I'm going to tell you why. That front court of the Celtics was dreamy like. They were. And they did go back to the finals. Oh yeah, that 4-4-4 ain't no questions asked. That's one of the best 1-year run teams I've ever seen in my life. And money. That's when you used to get one free agent, and that sealed your deal. It ain't like now you got to have 15 guys, and you know when they got Moses, that sealed the deal. Not for that 1 year. Even though they were 40-1 at home that year, that finals against the Rockets when Ralph Sampson got into that fight with Dennis Johnson. The Celtics looked kind of vulnerable. That Sixers team did not look vulnerable. They came back in every game against the Lakers in the finals, tore they behind up. That was the best they looked for 1 year. Kevin Garnett, come on now. Kevin Love didn't look like something that you thought like, oh, I feel like he's suffering in Minnesota. Whereas KG, he won an MVP, and he was one of the top 4 or 5 players in the league. Kevin Love wasn't that dude. Kevin Love put up some great numbers, but I didn't have the same kind of resolve where I looked at him. I'll say this though: had he stayed in Minnesota and played out, Hall of Famer, yes. But if I'm going by the whole picture, Hall of Famer, All Star, the whole 9 MVP, it's Kevin Garnett. Because I think KG had a bit more volume. No, I have to say that Sixers team. And I love that Sixers. The Celtics team was great. But that Sixers run is one of the best 1 year runs I've ever seen. One of the best 1 year runs. Yeah. Except I think Chris Bosh's was more impactful. And I'll tell you why. Because he was the first guy to show LeBron that I can defer, and it meant everything. When Cleveland Love was with Cleveland, sometimes J.R. Smith was the third option. Kyrie was always second. Yeah. No, he'd be back in a couple weeks. I think he'd be like late second round, third round, if they got that far, which they won't. But yeah, they can beat Denver. Denver don't play no defense. Still got McDaniels out there, still got Ayo out there, still got Gobert out there, still got Julius Randle out there. They got enough firepower to beat Denver. And if Michael Conley can score at least 10, oh yeah. They get enough off the bench, oh yeah. Because the problem with Denver, Denver don't like to get dirty. And you know, when they're holding your butt under 100 points back to back games, you're not winning. You don't deserve to win. They blew your butt out back to back. You can't crack 100. And you and Jamal Murray are in a very awkward position because you need Murray to outscore you. However, you got to assert more, and I don't know where you're going to find the next one. If Aaron Gordon ain't brought and Brown ain't Brown and Brown, if their core is not hitting, they're not winning. And I think this series is over. Yeah, they might win the next game, but they go back to Minnesota. Minnesota beat them in 6. It got their number. It's a matchup nightmare. If you're a Nuggets fan, you don't want to see the Timberwolves. It's a bad matchup for you. I mean, the Nuggets looked vulnerable against the Clippers in the first round last year, so they haven't exact. It takes like Zubac, Gobert. If you are rugged and you pound them a little bit and throw them off tip, it's enough to nudge. But you sit there and you let him dance on you like Anthony Davis did, then he's fine. It's two different types of entities, but you have to have the athleticism on the perimeter, and then you got to know when to get back home, and then you got to have a bench. But Denver doesn't play what I call a team brand of basketball. That's why they're in the predicament they're in, like year in, year out. And even if they came back and win this series, somebody's gonna get hurt. That's okay. I don't think they're gonna back down from him. I don't think they back down from him at all. But I'll tell you something. Castle, if De'Aaron Fox played like he did yesterday, then San Antonio. That's the only thing I got with the Spurs. I think they need one more offensive force and one more piece off the bench. To me, they're like 2 pieces away from running a dynasty. And they get those 2 pieces put, you know, it makes no difference who they play out of Minnesota and Denver because they gonna beat them in the next round either way. They got enough offensive firepower to do it, and they got enough resolve to do it. But the only problem is if you trade Fox, you got to still get the pieces that I talked about. That's the only problem that I see with that. If they can get that, then yeah, yeah. But that's only if you get that. You got to get that though. You know, because like if you could trade De'Aaron Fox and get you like one of them cats from Charlotte, and then somebody off of someone's bench, that's legit. Oh yeah, they about two pieces away from running the NBA for the next 4 or 5 years. I'm making that bold prediction. If you think it's bold, because OKC is the only team that could get in their way that I really see in the West, and that's all I see right now. Yeah, and see, this is the thing. They get the two pieces that starting in the bench. Then you starting to think of Popovich Spurs when Duncan, Ginobili, and Parker were running things, because that's all you need. And I think they make a move like that now because they can see that hey, we're closer than we thought we would be. But then again, De'Aaron Foxton fell off so bad, and I liked him once upon a time, but he's not consistent. Well, he did play. He balled yesterday, but I'm telling you, I like Castle a lot. I think they got a good, but to get to the next level, they got to make a move. And if they make that move, then watch out. If they make that move. So jury's out on that though. But if they pick, if they're thinking, if they're seeing it the way I'm seeing it, oh yeah, they definitely got a chance to make some crazy strides right now. We'll see. Time will tell. All right. We'll see. We got some conversation. Hmm. Mm-hmm. Shady McCoy. Because aside from that 2,000 yards, Johnson could run, but what else could he do? Shady was legit. Brandon Ingram's problem is that he didn't use that first step he's got, that quickness, that burst. And he's kind of, if he utilizes that first step drive, you know, again, he's been kind of coddled because when he was with New Orleans, that's what happened. So I think he could be a lot better. I really do. Toronto, if they can play cohesive basketball, that's the key to them. Yeah, but he, again, he has to be assert himself more though. No, you sure don't. It's a lost art. It's a lost art. It's a lost art. Start Marshall Faulk, bench Thurman Thomas, cut LaDainian Tomlinson. And it's mainly because of the postseason. That's what it's about. If Tomlinson was half as impactful in the postseason as in the regular season, he'd wipe the floor with both those guys. Because to call yourself LT and be as dominant, but his postseason left me a lot, but he left me cold. And that's the main reason. Thurman Thomas was clutch. Well, did Marshall Faulk get into a Super Bowl? Did Thurman Thomas get to a Super Bowl? Did they step up in the postseason? And with Marshall Faulk, are we sure that the Patriots didn't cheat them out that Super Bowl? And if the Bills beat the Giants in that Super Bowl, he's the MVP. I don't even know. I had it written down. I had it written down somewhere. So when you think about it from the perspective of the postseason and the regular season, that's where I come draw the line. I know Thompson was MVP, so was Thurman Thomas. Cancel each other out. Marshall Faulk was considered the best dual threat ever. Almost, as far as running backfield. So make up your mind. But Faulk and Thurman came up big in the postseason. Yeah, y'all got a lot of plugging to do, but y'all ain't gonna do nothing. Yeah, because he's one of it's kind of I don't hold it against him in terms of where I rank him as one of my 5 greatest running backs, but postseason is where you make that's where you make the brand. And if you don't come up in that situation, people don't forget. That's why when you ask me about LT against Faulk and Thurman Thomas, regular season, and look, LaDainian Thompson belong with almost anybody. But what I put in the whole body, and that does have to count for something. It has to count for something. And I'm afraid it do. If you're a Cowboys fan, ask a boy above you. Talk about Dak Prescott in the playoffs. Dak during the regular season looks like he could be debated top 5, maybe 6 through 12. Okay. Postseason, he's not even top 10. So it does make a difference. It's called money time for a reason. Yep. And he had his all script antics during the regular season was as great as any quarterback. He should have been in between Aikman and in what universe? What universe? He's not even top 5 in the NFC, let alone the AFC. What universe? Do I do a roll call? Mahomes got him beat. Lamar's got him beat. Burrow's got him beat. No, because the problem with Dallas is this: when Dak is on, their defense is off, and when Dak is off, their defense is on. There's no consistent, and they dissed him a couple years ago. You remember that whole thing with Stephen A. Smith? They dissed him. Romo and Dak. If they had what each other have, you'd have probably one of the top 7 or 8 greatest quarterbacks ever. Stafford is bad. He need another ring. He'll move up. Their defense has been horrible. How many blown leads did they have the last 3 years, though? That's not his fault. They blew that game to start the season against Buffalo. That wasn't his fault. They blew that game against They had games that they blew 20-point leads, fourth quarter. That wasn't him. Oh, easily. He got more postseason wins. He's more clutch. Easily. Yes, I can, because he's got 2 league MVPs and he has been to an AFC Championship game. What does Dak do in February except go get the Walter Payton Award at some made up ESPN award show on the stage? That's the only time you see him is That whole trophy he getting. Lamar has been where Dak hasn't been. I can name I can name a few that have been where he hasn't. Come on now. Oh boy in San Francisco over Dak. Lamar over Dak. Josh Allen over Dak. Mahomes over Dak. Jalen Hurts over Dak. He been to an NFC championship game. What NFC championship game has Dak been to? How many times has Dak gotten to the second round? How many postseason wins has he had in a decade? You really gonna go there? Underachieving? The only time he got it, he can't even get a ring in his regular life. You saw how that whole thing went with the bride. I mean, I'm just saying, before you get all this pompous about it. No. Did they get to a Super Bowl? Did they beat you? Did they own you? Thank you. Thank you. You can't be making excuses when you got these inept quarterback. Romo was a better improvising. Dak was more poised. If you took Dak and Romo together, you'd have the equivalent between Roger Staubach and better than Aikman and out of one quarterback. Purdy got a better resume than Dak. Do you want me to keep on going? Who's got a better resume than Dak? I can name a bunch. Thank you. 10 years ago, him and Ezekiel looked like they were going to be. Really? You call that great? All those picks he threw, the way they season ended, you call that great? Did they make the playoffs last year? Great season. What happened against Carolina? Great season. Him and Ezekiel, he came there. You're not getting the job done. You're not getting the job done. No one's gonna feel sorry for it because he got mediocre in spots. They can't beat Frisco. They split with Philly. Should have lost to the Giants. And they're not seen as a legit team. Well, he had Dez Bryant on that catch that should have counted against Green Bay. And if he don't bobble that ball against Seattle for that field goal, they beat them. He's had some bad scenarios that have cost him. That's what I'm saying. So, but they both were like, and Jerry Jones did not want to get rid of him. Believe me, Dak had to play it out his behind for a job and to start 20 years ago. So that's all I'm saying. You know. So if you're a Cowboys fan, you don't really want to say nothing because Jaden Daniels has got as many postseason wins as Dak does, and as many as Romo did. I mean, come on now. You really don't want to go there. Because it doesn't count for wins. You didn't become a wild card team. It's got to count for something. Listen, Trevor Lawrence looked like crap half the year and they still made the playoffs. Oh, crying out loud. Caleb Williams comes along. Look at the Bears. 1 year flip. Come on now. Shoot. You want a cookie for you want a cookie and put it glue it together when you got crumbs? Come on now. Gotta do better than that. Cowboy fans used to have expectations. Now they just hope that they don't starve off elimination till Thanksgiving weekend. That's how bad it is. He's not bad in the sense that he sucks, but he's bad in the sense that he can't take that team to another level. He can't even make them a wild card team. And he had a couple bad games in there. And stats are a bit overrated today because they got a lot of guys that are stat padding. That doesn't mean that they're winning. Jared Goff throws a lot of yards. Does that mean that they are an elite team when they should be? Because he's in a more better position than almost any quarterback going there. Lamar had an off year, but their defense sucked. So it went hand in hand. Except in his case, he's already gone where Dak hasn't gone. And he's been a league MVP twice. He's got as many postseason wins as Dak, and he's got as many MVPs as Dak and Romo put together and stuff. So please don't compare that because let me tell you something. If he did, if Jerry Jones had Lamar, I don't think they get knocked out after. I think they go past second round. Yeah, Jared Goff was in there, but Jared Goff didn't show me nothing last year. You want a cookie? That's what you want. I'm not impressed. I'm only impressed when you get them W's. You want to get a reward for a team that has expectations. That's rich. If you quarterback the Dallas Cowboys, we don't care about you leading the league in touchdown passes and yards. We care about W's. We care about Lombardis. Okay? Cowboy fans will tell you that they ain't stat padding. This ain't the LeBron James Olympics, okay? This ain't the James Harden Olympics or the Kevin Durant posing. You want to be a poser? This is a different animal we're talking about. That's not their problem. They line they caught a lot of breaks last year. I don't think they will catch the same breaks like they did last year. Had an easy schedule. No, they're not going back. And they should get a new head coach too. That's going to be a distraction. That's going to be a distraction. They caught a lot of breaks last. They shouldn't have beaten Denver in the AFC Championship game. And lucky that C.J. Strauss decided to play quarterback for both teams, even though he got paid for one. That's why they won the game against Houston. Well, if old Sean Payton don't be so arrogant and dumb and not kick them field goals on a cold butt day, trying to be cute, doing too much as usual. Like the guy can coach, but he sometimes tries to do too much, and that was a case in point. Yeah, they should have beaten New England. New England had an out of body experience. New England played beyond their means. New England was actually 2 rounds better than they should have been. And that's what happened in that Super Bowl because they got their butt toe up. They got the dough knives blew off. Had no business being on the field with Seattle. Bad Bunny had more offense than they did. I saw Bad Bunny move all over like a rabbit. Maine was eating the turf. And they they got I like their running game. They all right. But they're not like that kind of team. No. No. I'd say maybe a lucky wild card team if they're lucky. But they played out beyond their means, though. They played beyond their means. So reality will come back to life this year. Okay. All right, let's get some conversation going. We're gonna see what we're working with. Yeah, that's good, 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 good. Okay, dokie. I see where everybody's at now. They're kind of quiet, so No, I can't say that. He had a great season, but he wasn't like it didn't coexist the whole thing. Um, but he's in the conversation. I'll say that. It's hard to say who would be the best because you have to calculate how everybody that he would be line up against, how their season was, and what they did. And I don't really want to say that because again, rules are different. When he scores 25 to plus, yes. When he does 25 to 30. But he hasn't really asserted himself where he's dictated it to the point where I say that's enough. Enough is like if a cat, like Shaq said, you do 30 and 15, that's enough. And imposes will with his block shots, with altering, that's when it's like, okay. Because, SGA is averaging 30 plus points a game. So, yeah, he probably have to average another 5 or 6 points. And then that'd be enough. 30, 15, 16, and about 2 to 3 blocks, 2 or 3 steals. Yes. He's still a work in progress. So that's why I can't say the best 22-year-old because people want to romanticize something when it's still a work. Still flaws in his game. And he's still working out the kinks. But if he gets it now, that's a whole nother story. But we're gonna be talking about the whole picture. We're gonna talk about the unveiling. We're not talking about that now. No, because Tim Duncan was better at that age. Duncan, they won a chip the second year. And the David Robinson situation, that was a different situation. Again, you're put there. He has to win a couple rings before I put him with those guys. He's raw. He got a chance to, but he ain't. It don't put him with him. It puts him near the conversation. But those guys were incredible for what they did, especially Tim Duncan. Duncan was bad when he was young, and if you consider that, mhm. So I don't like to do stuff like that because then you're trying to act like you're downplaying. People are so quick to do that. What's happening? How you doing? What's happening? What's happening? Thank you for coming on through. People are quick to do that, like they want to downplay what came before them, and it's insulting because you can't hypothetically do that because you're trying to act like that didn't exist. And again, it was different rules, different regulations. But I do think he's definitely made an impression, and I think that he will belong in the conversation when it's all said and done. But let him marinate and find out some stuff before people go ahead and try to anoint him because that pressure can make you crazy. All right, thank you for coming through. Yeah, he will. He will. Like I said, he's still young and green. You're catching him as a baby. Come along in about 3 or 4 years. Like I said before, if they do their 4 or 5 year run, catch him about 2 or 3 years down the line. You'll see what I'm talking about. You're catching it green right now. Still, he's just coming into his own. He hasn't even hit his prime and his peak yet. Wait till that comes into formation. Because, like I said before, if they do what I have suggested about getting them pieces, you'll see what I mean. He's still learning things too. Yeah, I saw it. I didn't think much of it because I don't really think Kevin Hart's funny. So you talked to the wrong person on that one. I'm not a Kevin Hart connoisseur, so but I respect his hustle. I mean, hey, more power to him because if he can be a homogenized comedian and get away with being a third tier comedian, and he got enough charisma that can pull it off, hey, more power to him. People don't care. I don't find Kevin Hart funny though. I don't. I don't find him funny. But I respect his hustle. I respect his longevity. You know, he got something that people like, but I don't get it though. Cause I just don't see his movies and go, "Ooh, I think he's mid, not funny, but he tells serious stuff, and the way he carries himself, you can appreciate what he does. I think he's a little too vulgar, and I don't think he really. I like when he talks about storytelling. He's kind of like Chappelle, like that. His storytelling, what he sees, his face expressions are funny, and his demeanor, but I don't find him funny per se. Where I go, he was funny. Mm-mm, mm-mm. But when he gave side eye views and talked about what he sees at them parties and stuff, that was funny because he was giving you a nod. But not funny where he's telling the joke, though, per se. See, a lot of these comedians, they got people fooled. They think because they curse a lot, they funny. That doesn't make you funny. Like Bernie Mac, and it's not that I'm being real. Bernie Mac was funny with his. Robin Harris was funny with his. Pryor was funny with his. You cast a Dame just curse a lot without going into a cadence. Mm. Well, I've seen people be funny where they went off. And I don't find him like that. But he has entertaining parts about him. There's entertaining parts with him. Oh, but it is for everybody because he's trying to hit a certain conglomerate. Martin Lawrence, comedian. His acting is, yo, bro, what's up, bro? Hey, he a funny dude. But acting wise, it's like the same stick. It's like when I watch him with Will Smith, it's so awkward. Like they got chemistry, but him to play the second dude, the comedy relief, Will comes off real smart and he comes off like he's like, duh, okay, I'm here. You know. But he is a comedian though. I like the first one. But I think I saw the fifth through eighth of them and I'm like, whatever. They always trying to make Will Smith like he's cool and suave. Like he gonna morph into like a black James Bond or something. And Martin's more of a comedy though. More of a comedian. Because his movies I can take a lead. Thin line between love and hate was interesting though. Yeah. No, he was boring. I'll get to that. It's just that Kevin Hart, it's low budget. It has a nice laugh thing, but it's like a Tubi time cat that certainly is on HBO Max. It's like all of a sudden, but he has some charisma, which I can see, but I just don't see why how he blew up like he did. But he worked hard though. I'll give him that. He worked hard. No, he was dry. He was dry, and he lacked that. If you do that film the right way, the way people loved Will Smith, you do that film the right way. It's like watching Jafar as Michael Jackson. Because even if the movie might be considered hit miss and spot, a great performance, you're like, well, that dude commanded it. Mm-mm. Actually, Jimmy Foxx's Howard Bingham was better. No, because Will, I liked him in Pursuit of Happiness. I think he did a great job in that. And I like him when he's more smart alecky. He didn't give any kind of soul in Ali. Mm-mm, mm-mm. I gotta feel something. No, because if you know me, I like to when I watch movies. I like to feel something. I don't like to see people just going through motions. I had a buddy of mine who actually saw it, had advanced copy, and said he fell asleep on the couch. I say, ouch, because you gotta do Will, you gotta do Ali justice. Will, because I think if it had a little pep to it, would have been tight. But that's my thoughts on that. Robin Williams in a blowout. Come on now, that's not even funny. That's not even funny. That's not funny. It's funny you ask it, but that's not funny in reality. That's not funny. You know. I'm gonna tell you why. That's like asking me. Uh, Let me think of a good option. That's like asking me about Joe Montana versus Trent Dilfer. Yeah, just because they both went and won something on a high level, but they're not in the same capacity in the real big picture. Chris Rock's a one trick pony, quick lines. He never had the film career with Robin. Now that's more like it. It's close. It's close. Think I'll a slight. I think I'll. I think I'll give us. I'll give an edge to Robin, but I like Jim Carrey a lot. See that one I had to think about it because I watched both their movies a lot. Chris Rock doesn't have anything body of work. If you like his stand up, but really, you got like a one or two that stood out. The rest of that stuff aged like milk. And his film career ain't that memorable, whereas those cats got movies and TV. Yeah, I know. I watched them. I watched all his movies. I used to watch Robin Williams movies. You know, I watched Jim Carrey's movies too. I wouldn't say they can replace him, but I can say that they're comedians that take over him. Though I'll tell you that I liked him. I thought he was a very talented dude, but there's comedians that take over him. Though he's not like he was great for his time per, but there were casts that would take over him though. Eddie Murphy in a blowout. Come on now. See, Jerry Seinfeld never did nothing for me, and it was cool for what he did. But are you're talking about Eddie Murphy? It's no contest. I wouldn't say that. I don't look. I'll tell you who I thought was a comedian. I would say that about. I said about John Belushi before I said about Carrie, because Andy Kaufman too did some of that stuff, and definitely George Carlin. Carrie more for what he did as far as his movie going, as far as his on stage. I wouldn't say that about his movie career yet. No, Jerry's been around a long time. Seinfeld did stand up. You know, if you know anything about David Brenner, other Jewish comedians and style of type of humor. He was popular, but it's kind of one of those types of humors you have to be in a certain frame of mind, a certain space to appreciate it. No, I'm not doing all that. I just, oh, he's been around quite a while. Successful TV show, all that. You know, I don't talk about that bigot, so please don't mention him. Because after that rant he did on stage, I don't talk about him. That's taboo in my world. He was so vulgar with it that even Paul Mooney stopped using the N word because they used to be boys. And if you ain't seen the video, you need to go take yourself on YouTube and type in how he went off on a N word rant. So I don't talk about him. Yeah, I don't forget about that. I don't. I don't. I don't forget about that. See, this is the problem. People got amnesia about these bigots, and then when something come up, they go, "Oh, I slipped." They ain't slipped. You know what you said. Yeah, he was at the comedy store in L.A. and he went on a long inward rant. He went off, acting like, he got taken over by some majestic powers that made him say that. No, he said what he wanted to say. Yeah, but I saw it in real time. I saw the video. I didn't have to watch South Park to see it. It was in real time. He said what he meant to say. There's certain things that you say, and then there's certain things you mean to say. He meant to say that. Just like Mel Gibson. Yep, there's no slip up. Slip is when you have a wet floor, no sign. Ain't no slip up when you say those kind of words. Especially when you know where you are and that you can get away with saying it too. Just like that police officer in Houston. She got fired and went off. Yeah. And then most of them do. Hulk Hogan did. Most of them do. Because, see, you can badmouth somebody black all the time, usually. And usually you get away with it. Usually. Half the time you got a better chance. You know. He makes money for the Hollywood plantation. It's black folks. How many black people own anything in Hollywood? Who can stop Mel Gibson? You gonna tell me Tyler Perry could say, "Hey, I don't want you to put that Mel Gibson movie out." We don't have nothing. You gotta own something. See, yeah. If he said something about the wrong folks, they'd make him hold his ankles and say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I did this and all that." You talk about black folks, they let you walk around like some hit you in your head. What's happening? How you doing? Thank you, Tom, for coming through. Of course, he gonna still be able to make movies. He make money for them, and they don't care. If you think that they care about somebody big and being racist, I got some gold to sell you. And I don't even know what your house number is. I can sell you some gold in the backyard. They don't care about no black folks. Not everybody. Not everybody. I know a lot of people that dropped Hulk Hogan, dropped Mel Gibson, dropped Charlie Sheen too. That's why when I saw this Charlie Sheen love affair, I said, well, he's spreading the house in Virginia and he's supposed to get some fandom. Yeah, Mel Gibson just be. But a lot of them aren't cultured because they don't have to interact with black folk, really. Let's keep that 100. And if you go to places, you don't have a lot of black interaction. And if you're in Hollywood, you don't have a lot of black interaction. How often do you think Mel Gibson had to go to the Wayans family for a gig? Think about it. So Just saying. Well, I'm reminded of it because I'm reminded of it because I see these folks come out here and they say things and they hope that they pull that Trump logic or Kid Rock logic, and then they act like that stuff ain't offensive, but they see people ain't forgot. You know, when they mock you, you know. So yeah, and the thing about it is that I seen him on shows and people acting like, and then he made racist remarks. Him and the ex-wife that made up, they cool. But I mean, they didn't rewarded him. They didn't play, yeah. And he's a sellout too, because he downplays his Mexican heritage too. But that's another story, another video. You know, this just it's just the one-sided situation. They won't give Cosby still got some networks, but they don't want to, again, you know, and people don't understand. No one is condoning Cosby, but when they had that fourth tier comedian call him a perv, and they used that as a means from a live set, that's what they did. That's how they got him. But see, Charlie Sheen walks around and they just act like they got amnesia. That's what they do. That's why the cards are never leveled. The playing field is never leveled. But like I said, you entitled to think what you want, but you get your feelings hurt though. So it's a double standard. Hmm. They won't do that though. It's not just Trump, it's the other parties involved, but they won't do that. Well, you got Byron Allen who's buying up different things, and he's very successful. But again, black folk don't work together. What you trying to say is they don't work together. That's the reality. And that's all it takes. Everybody ain't gonna stand around and get punched in the mouth and just take it. Somebody gonna come and fight back. Now, good in theory, but the reality is they don't work together. What they should do and what they could do is two different entities. And see, Hollywood is a funny business. They say, well, you could be like Tyler Perry, you can be like Oprah, you can be like Dr. Dre, you can be like Jay-Z. They manipulate and they show it right in front of your face what they're doing. They don't want you working together. I'll tell you a story. In the music business, Jay Prince, Suge Knight, and I think it was I forgot who else it was I think Master P. They were all gonna form a distribution deal together. It was Irv Gotti. Irv, they were all gonna do it together. And I think Diddy or someone snitched it out. And then you saw what happened with the cases. They don't want them to work together. If you put that all together, you'd have a pyramid. No, that ain't got nothing to do with that. Byron Allen was doing business before who he married. That's not true. Byron was already on his game before that. Byron, Byron is also low key. They don't really bring him up on the radar unless you keep up with him. Well, Oprah wanted to be seen as more dignified because with the magazine, and she wanted something, and she was also trying to go more corporate. But Tyler Perry showed her, hey, you can make more money with these jump offs, which it is. Reality shows are jump offs because you don't have to pay a lot for that. And if they hit the show sells itself. You don't have to sell the show. So it was a smart business move. Now I'm gonna say it like this: it ain't who you're married to, it's how you handle your business. Because now we get into something else, is something else. But if you handle your business the way you're supposed to handle it, Byron Allen already been handling his business. Because I go back to when he was on Real People back in the day. Byron ain't one of those cats that's braggadocious, and he doesn't. He had the Weather Channel. Yeah, I think it was McDonald's. It was somebody was trying to. He been playing the long game. There's a few that do that where you don't assume, and they've been holding and they've been playing it in the fold. They lay in the cut. Don't tell people what they doing. See, that's why you can't trust all these so-called billionaires that for magazines like to throw at you and throw these numbers around. Yep. I don't know anything about what Chappelle does with portfolios, but I'm sure he has a good investments. I mean, he has the right business minds around him. But I know in the music business, distribution is everything. And if you can get it distributed, you cut the middleman out. And these labels weren't going for that. Yeah. The Weather Channel, I know he owned, and there was something else he had access to. But what he's doing is that he's low key with his. He don't talk and boast, brag. He don't put himself out there like I said before. You move your game properly. You see, you don't want to be like Jay Z is now, where that whole thing with Rock Nation is just in name only. They got no business, and he ain't make no loot. So it's just a lot of name without the game. But so what they do is they make you buy into the same old brands as others, and then you have to figure out someone that you can buy out stocks. He's not stupid in the sense of he's not stupid in the sense of he. The thing is that I wouldn't say stupid, but I would say that uh, the problems that have arisen has because you got greedy. But I wouldn't call him stupid. Yeah, he buying it. He's buying it. He bought that. He bought that show. That's what's up, and that's a smart investment. And what he'll do is either put himself or put somebody in place of it, where they can either central neutralize it where people won't even recognize it, and it's a property because it's on a conservative network with CBS. So he's buying into the situation without broadcasting his business. No, Jay-Z, I wouldn't call him stupid because you don't last as long as he's lasted by being stupid, but at the same time being greedy and it could catch up with him. Yeah, I'll give you that. He did. He did. But he was with real people and it was a different type of comedy. He did do some stand up, but he learned that there is no money in just doing a Hollywood game because what's happening? How you doing? Good to see you. Because you have to have investments. What they pay you and what you invest are two different things. Good. How you doing? He looked his age. And let me tell you something about those 10 points. I think 5 of those came from free throws because if it wasn't for that, he'd only scored 4. He looked very deplorable and he looked old. And the thing is this, he can't play back to back to back to back. It's catching up. Well, I appreciate you. Tom, who was that you were addressing with that? Because I think everybody learns from everybody. But no, LeBron's problem is that if you force the issue, what Houston did is they played team ball, and if they clamp down and don't look like they trying to play hero ball and let everybody take a chance, they can make something in this series. I'm not saying they come back and win, but they don't need Kevin Durant to win this series. They need to believe in themselves, and they need to play off of everybody. And LeBron is old. He's not going to resurrect you like that. That's just the start of it. It's going to look even worse. He gets through this series, it will look worse. He's where he is today. It's not by accident. Well, I appreciate your words, Tom. I really do. I'm humbled. Thank you. Oh, he ain't gonna lose this series. I learned from you too, Tom. I learned from everybody, but I appreciate your words. Though, I really do. The problem with this series should have gone. They should have not won that game another night. This is a 6-7 game series, and he got fool's gold because they went up 3-0. But they're really not that good. The Rockets just are not a smart team, and they're making Udoka look bad and Kevin Durant look bad. But it's really a 6-7 game series between two teams that are better than average, who are good, but they're not championship good. And these two teams combined are not better than OKC and San Antonio. Okay, so that's the bottom line. I don't know what he's gonna do. I think Udoka can come back, but I think that he has to get the right pieces. I think that uh, Green last year didn't work for them, and they traded him to Phoenix. It's a shame because he's so streaky. And I think he has a good situation in Houston. I just don't think that they use smart kind of fundamental senses. Yeah, but Green is too streaky though. And again, Udoka is just the timing. You know, but this team should been go 6-7 with this Laker team. There's no reason to get swept 4-1. That's embarrassing. Y'all making the Lakers look like they something they not. They just beat them on hustle and common sense and drive. They didn't beat them because they were so much better than them. Y'all here having Luke Kennard with his chest out, making threes, and Marcus Smart diving. It's called hustle. Play like you play, you'll be all right. Well, he doesn't have many more options because if he blows it with the Lakers, his butt will probably end up somewhere like what in New Orleans if he don't. No, Philadelphia is what you thought they were. I feel for Nick Nurse because I think he went there thinking I got Joel Embiid, Paul George. I think I got Maxi and Edgecombe. They're just not a good team. They're not a good team. Uh, they don't match up well against Boston at all. This ain't the '80s. Pritchard came in, bust that butt, and that shows you how deep Boston is. Because Jalen and Tatum had 50 combined. Pritchard had 32. He was busting their cakes by himself. No, they got too much firepower for Philly. Philly ain't got the firepower to match with them. They don't match up well. It's not a good matchup for Philly. Philly had to gone against Cleveland or Toronto, maybe Orlando, maybe Detroit. But Boston was the worst draw they could have picked. Nick Nurse doesn't have that kind of time. When you're trying to win a playoff game and you're already down 2-1 and you need any kind of momentum, you don't have that luxury. They don't have that luxury. Who else is gonna step up? Kylie Uber only had two, and Boston's defense will lock you down. Paul George ain't giving you but barely 15, 16. That's my pick for the finals. He's a really good coach, but when you don't have your pieces going, you can look busted. And so far, his time in Philly hasn't looked much better than Doc Rivers. I think Doc Rivers got a little bit more. I think Nurse look like the legit apparent, but they just aren't. They just aren't consistent. They're not a good team, and they're getting exposed badly in this series because it's a lot of outwork. A lot of it is a lot of hustle. Sometimes it's the brawn of who's stronger and better, but then sometimes just how you hustle. And I don't see no with Philly. I just see Philly as a team that's happy to be there and they're going to get knocked out. This is not a good match. If you were a Sixers fan, drawing Boston was the worst draw you could have. Yes, they look good in game two. And some of it is because Boston takes their foot off the gas. But if Boston plays at their best, this is a wrap. And it really shouldn't go more than 5 games. Well, the problem with Denver is that, again, high outside shooting, long rebounds, slow footed, and don't get back. And there's no intensity to press nothing because they can't, because Minnesota is big, strong, athletic. Minnesota is kind of like what Orlando's doing to Detroit. A physical team that's big and athletic, which is a nightmare because if you only got one or two horses, if those guys have three or four horses, they're going to beat you every time. And Minnesota is big. And as great as Jokic is and Murray's looking, that's all you got. If Aaron Gordon ain't doing nothing and Braun ain't doing nothing, there's no problem. You're not worried about Denver at all because they're not going to get a smart shot. So Gobert can look even more athletic because Denver is fundamentally a one-trick pony. And don't let him have a double double, Because I remember against the Lakers in the first round last year, he looked like he was the second coming of Shaq and Wilt and Kareem. So if he gets going on offense, you really in trouble. So ain't nobody worried about that. But I appreciate the complimented time. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I'm not going to downplay that. But like I always tell everybody, I learn from others as well. I stay humble about it. And I'm still learning. But I appreciate the words though, more than you know. Thank you. But no, Denver is just they don't have another gear. And I thought firing Mike Malone would make their defense step up and others, and they don't do that. So they're just not a good team. You know, it be like that sometimes. I like to see Ant Edwards do good though, because I'll tell you something. That dude should be the most important American born player going. The Celtics got a chance if they can with their bench and tempo. The Celtics and OKC would be must see TV. The Celtics against the Spurs, if Wanyama's going off, I don't know how they handle it. But the guard play of Boston is effective. Tatum and Brown are battle tested, so it's not like they wouldn't stand a chance. But if it's not Boston, nobody else got a chance. I'm gonna keep it real. They do have a chance because if they don't get cute and play fun, keep the ball in front of them. Jalen Brown is battle tested come money time. What you talking about? I don't know if you watch the same Jalen Brown I watch. He's battle tested come money time. He can come up big. Tatum does good, but Brown is lethal come money time. They could. Because you gotta remember something. If OKC and San Antonio beat up on each other, the Celtics have an easy run. Think about it. They beat Philadelphia, who they got next round, and then you work your way on through. Nobody is scared of the Knicks, Atlanta. Nobody is scared of Orlando, uh, New York. I mean, Detroit. Come on now. I can't. Well, no, I gotta get Winyama number two, but I'd say number three. I'd have SGA one, Winyama second, and Brown. But I will say Brown because the reason why I say that Brown and Cade Cunningham did both great. They'd be 3 and 4 respectively for me for MVP. But I gotta say with Yamba, when Yamba is done, where they were actually putting some heat on OKC in a more competitive West, that's the reason. Because his surge was humongous. But third for me though. And I'd say in the East, because I think they should have an East and Western MVP. If I had an East and West MVP, he would be my Eastern Conference MVP. Slightly over Cade Cunningham because he played a little bit more. And nobody thought Boston was going to be the half of what they were. And he had them near the top. So I give him a slight edge there. I'll give you that. But hey, shoot, that team could be a problem if they get to the finals. You gotta remember they're just a year removed, and they choked against New York. I don't think that Joe Mazzulla is gonna can let that happen again. So I'd say watch out. And if they did go to the finals, that'd be 3 times in 10 years. So, like I said before, that law firm of Tatum and Brown is legit. So, but I understand why you got him when you got him. I got it. I'm not arguing because you could make that case. And there's no, but the Celtics are legit. I mean, they're there. No, I didn't say all that. No. No, I didn't say that. Stop. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. You claim that you learn from me and you respect my knowledge. You ain't gonna never hear me say nothing that ignorant. Tatum can't carry Larry Bird's mustache, and Jalen Brown is nowhere near Bill Russell. Stop. Stop. Do you hear what you're saying? Bird is getting immortalized as we talk right now. That don't I don't but that's nice. They play in a different era where you get to score more points and manipulate. It doesn't mean that they're on the same level. That's nice. Shoot, you put Larry Bird and Bill Russell in this era, and Tatum and Brown would have to wait 30 years combined each to do that. Okay, as long as we clear about that, because I'd be happy to make sure that somebody don't say nothing like JJ Redick or some of these other people that try to downplay that. Ain't nobody gonna replace those two in my eyes in Boston Celtic basketball. Not in my eyes, they won't. That this is the thing. If Tatum and Brown hadn't have bobbled so much the past decade, they could be making a case because they had chances to get to more finals than two. No, I was just saying. No, I was just saying when you said that though. He definitely offended me, and the LeBron, all them do, because the stuff that they be saying is like, you got to be kidding me. Because somebody gonna come along and say that he was a paper airplane head coach. He wasn't the real airplane; he was a paper plane. So he'll get his. Don't worry. Somebody will dump on him. I'll laugh too when they do. Yeah. Okay, I got you. It's all good. It's all good. Why would he? He already came out this year and said we're nowhere near OKC and San Antonio. He already threw in the towel. He ain't dumb. He can't win no more chips. So what you playing for? The stat pad wins? Even though let's be realistic, you're playing tournament team at best right now. If you're a Warriors fan, at best, even Jimmy Butler and I'll come back, you're in the 6 to 10 slot, which in reality you're more closer to 7 to 10. And barring injuries, you're 8 to 10. Yeah, where else would he go? Where else would he go? He's not a gun for hire. And it's not like teams would line up to go get him because everybody does what he does now. If this was about 6, 7 years ago, yeah, I'd say about 25 teams would have an open checkbook for him. Impact and all, but no, no one's gonna like go at this stage. If they do, they do. But if Steph ain't going to LA, LeBron would go to Golden State if that was the case. But nobody wants to see that mess though. That's like watching a TV show with two of your favorite characters who used to be enemies and all of a sudden they all buddy and it's like 20 years later. Nobody wants to see that mess. They both old, even though Curry can still go, but let's look at what he's forced to do the last 4 or 5 years, playing in season tournaments just to keep them busters alive. They're not even a legit top five team. They're not a legit top six team. So the end is near. I told you before, LeBron just caught a break because playing the Rockets and Luka and them. Believe me, the old guard is done. Cats like him, Kawhi, Steph, Durant, Paul George, James Harden, they all going out. They all they're not playing championship level ball. So don't get fooled by it. The era is coming to an end. So I know some people are gonna romanticize and go, ooh, but now it's a done deal. It's a done deal. It's a done deal. You saw what happened with LeBron on Sunday, so I don't think you need to ask them about that. Them that treadmill is coming on them tires. Shoot, if around get hurt, if around and fall asleep. That's why the thought of him playing another year or two is ridiculous. Because I mean, stat pattern aside, if it comes down to a championship type of team, you're not there, yo. Steph probably 2 more years after this year, if that much. But if I was him, I consider retiring too. You're not getting no better. You could still play, but the league caught up to you. And there is nothing there that says, hey, we can sneak another chip. Because you'd have to get a Giannis. You'd have to make all kinds of moves. And I don't see them attracting what they need. Al Horford at 68 ain't the answer. Jimmy Butler, who's halftime Butler, if he can't get to the postseason, no. So I just think they got to regroup. You know, Steph might get a year or two. I don't know. So okay, let's see what we got so far. Got some folks coming in. Feel free to let me know what's in. What's coming on? What's coming on? Mm. Let's see how this Alicia Keys poll turned out. 60% says yes. Okay. Well, that's good. See what we got. Okay. See anybody still on? Got quiet again, so. All right. See if anybody got anything they want to say. Okay. See anybody gonna come through. Okay. I think that might be the cue. I will. Not tomorrow. Not Wednesday. Not Thursday. Maybe back on this weekend. So I'll probably try to do a Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Try to do a weekend. Come back on a weekend. Saturday, Sunday. And if people want to come and talk, we chop it up. So appreciate everybody that came through. Appreciate the compliments, the words. It's great. It's been real. And thank you everybody for coming through. Like I always tell people, if y'all want to be in touch with me, find me on Facebook or Instagram because you can find me. If you want to, have more live chats and of course with people donate and everything like that, I can do more. Because if I have special memberships, I will have special live shows. That to be in store. And then I can do other things if we get together and, broadcast. So let me know what you want to do. So I appreciate everybody. Stay safe, stay blessed, stay woke, stay free. And I'm got some videos out, so feel free to peep those out because I got a lot of stuff that's on the burner. So I am gonna conclude. Have a great day. Peace.